Cheers, welcome to my channel. This is an end of the month for the month of March tarot oracle reading. And Libra, you are the star of this astrological insight. If your sun sign is not Libra, we still all have a little bit of Libra in us. If you have your birth chart, which house is Libra in? That's where this energy shows up for you. My goal is to provide valuable information to empower you. This is a timely reading, meaning if you're watching it at this time, it's the perfect time for you. Having said that, if it's been a while since I posted this, what was going on back then in your life? That can give you further clarity as to your situation now. We're going to begin with the underlying energy from the bottom of the deck. And we have the Five of Cups. And so the Five of Cups represents regret or remorse. And, if you've ever heard the saying, don't cry over spilt milk, this is representing that. There's 3 cups spilt here, and then there's 2 standing. And this person is really focused on the 3 that's spilt. These actually have, 2 of these cups actually have wine in them, and the other one has some other liquid. And then these 2 are standing. And so, you could stand here for your whole life and be disappointed, or you could say, okay, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to pick these 2 cups up that are standing and appreciate them, walk down the path, cross over the bridge over troubled water, and go to my castle. And even the castle is half standing and half down, and that energy represents, is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? Which way does your attitude go? And then we have the energy, that's for the entire reading. And now this is for the internal forces. And so the internal forces represent the what-ifs in your life. You can tell it's an internal force if you're asking, what if this happens? What if they do that? And then I have to do this. What if it doesn't work? That kind of talk. It can get you in a thinking loop that it's really challenging to get out of. We have the new moon in the background here. And we have someone here who looks like they have a very closed mind. All they can see is 2 different ways of doing something, this way or that way, my way or the highway. That's the kind of energy. And this is exhausting them because, you can see their energy at the bottom, their feet turning out like this. In body language, that represents leaking energy. And so the right arm is holding the left arm back. And so the right arm represents your logic and the left arm represents your intuition. And so the swords represent your, your mental intelligence, your thoughts, and also representing your discipline of your mind. And so this energy, these swords are actually 2-edged, and that means that they combine logic with intuition to be able to arrive at creative solutions. So this is representing someone that can only see 2 ways of doing things. And really, if she applied logic and intuition together, she would probably find many ways that she could solve whatever the problem is that she's concerned about. Now, the new moon in the background reminds me of the new moon coming up right at the it just was on the 18th, so that would be 2 days ago. And this energy is talking about it's in the Pisces moon. Or the sign of Pisces, and it's a really good energy right now. Because the moon energy lasts about 3 days before and after the actual moon, and so we have another day or so of being in this energy. And the Pisces moon really encourages you to commit to personal goals. It's a really good time to make those goals, and then it's also a good time to understand that we do live in a perfectly imperfect world, and so things may not go perfectly. And that you have to accept, minor imperfections in people and in yourself and in your performance to be able to really move forward. A lot of people wait until the time is perfect to take on a new project. And by that time, they never do it because the time is never perfect because we just don't live in a perfect world. And then this is also a really heightened time of creativity, like being able to imagine things and having a lot of intuitive hits and really feeling in that energy. The biggest thing, though, is an open mind right now is a real big asset in the astrological energy we're in. And so the internal forces, and there also is a saying, the saying is, because I have eyes, I cannot see. And what that means is that, your eyes can only see, the human eye can only see about 5 or 6% of the full spectrum of light. So there's a whole bunch there that we think we're seeing everything when we look around us, but we're actually not seeing most of it. And so this energy is talking about sometimes you need to use your third eye, your intuition, to be able to find creative solutions. And then you can apply logic to that to carry out whatever that action is in the third dimensional world. And then we have the energy of victory here. So this is the Six of Wands represents victory. The wands represent the element of fire, and it's about being able to move forward with passion with what you're doing. And this card represents someone who has either gone to battle or maybe you've been in some sort of competition. These days it could be like vying for a position at work, that kind of energy, who's going to win at the interview, that type of thing. And that might be the kind of energy that, it could represent sports, it could represent, some area of life. And the people in the background may have been part of the competition, but they have to admit that you really, look how proud she is and sitting so straight on that horse, that you have really aced it. You really conquered, and you proved yourself to be a leader. And even if they didn't think you were capable of leading in the past, now they're saying, well, one thing we have to say, she did an awesome job and deserves this, right? And so this is talking about victory and being able to be seen as a leader because you were able to rein your emotions in and control them. We are in the year of the fire horse, and we moved into that energy on February 17th, and this was the Chinese New Year, and the year of the fiery horse will be with us until the 6th or 7th of February in 2027. And so the energy of the fiery horse energy is really passionate, and it's really inspiring and free-spirited. At the same time, it really makes people want to, set really high achievement goals. And in matters of love, it's really heartfelt and very passionate. The problem with this energy, or the thing to watch out for, is you do not want to be in impulsive behavior this year. Getting really angry and then tweeting all over the place and then having to apologize the next day, that kind of energy. If you've ever seen a horse get the bit in its mouth and take off, that energy can really cause, you can travel really far in a horse, and all you can do is hang on for dear life, because if it gets spooked and runs like that, you're not strong enough to hold it back. Once it has the bit in its teeth, forget it. So this is saying, you don't want to, you can go really far in the wrong way if you get really impulsive. And it's also an energy of setting goals that are so high and not giving yourself a reasonable amount of time to complete it. So that you burn yourself out in the process, and then you don't cross the finish line. So other than that, it's a really awesome energy to work with. It's about adventure and tackling new and, really inspiring, passionate energy. So this is really good energy to be in. And then we have, I didn't, this card generally is about being disappointed in love. And so is this card. So when the two come out, then this is something that happened in your love life. And quite often, this can represent the energy of a third-party involvement in a relationship. That's a couple. We have 3 cups here. And this energy sometimes represents this person sitting under the tree, and he is the universe is trying to give him a cup of love and say, give it one more try. And he's like, no way, I don't want any more love. It's the same old shift. I'm done with love. But he's pretty young. So that could be a long, time without going with love. So this is talking about being disappointed, possibly because there was a third party involvement. And this is the energy from here. This could represent, sometimes it can even represent a third party involvement and a fourth gift being given. And sometimes that can be a pregnancy. And so there could be a pregnancy outside of the relationship. That energy, it's not as common, but it can happen. So I'm just putting it out there in case I'm going through all the scenarios. This could represent having been in 3 different relationships, and they were all disappointing. He put the effort in, but just didn't feel like it was. Or giving someone 3 chances, and now they're asking you, can I please have a 4th chance with you? And you're like, no, 3 strikes, you're out. And that's, really the first time people show you who they are, you are best off to believe them, because generally people do show you who they are the first time around. There's exceptions, but it's that kind of energy. So this is talking about healing, are you going to sit there, or are you going to heal and give it another go? Do you want to go without love for the rest of your life, or do you want to actually heal from it? Yeah, and then we have the 9 of Swords, which is really getting caught up in that energy. So this is talking about a never-ending nightmare, a cycle that just keeps repeating itself. And no matter how many times you try to address it, it's still there. Or it can really represent crushing boredom, like the same routine day after day and nothing really to look forward to, just, do the same thing. Sometimes, though, this energy can represent, between the hours of 2 and 4 in the morning. A lot of times that's when we'll get enlightenment from the Holy Spirit, or like our dreams will be really, really intuitive, especially when there's new moon and full moon energy around. And so this can sometimes represent waking up from a dream and saying, wow, that was like so real. Like I could swear that and you can kind of remember it. And so sometimes you'll get enlightenment in your dreams. Sometimes if you have ancestors that have crossed over, they will get in touch with you from across the veil in your dreams, because that's one way that they can do it. So this energy is saying also that this quilt has cosmic symbols on it. And this energy is saying that the universe does have you covered, but you have to get out of bed. You can't just, stay in place and not do anything about it. And then we have this energy of, there is something, this card sometimes represents like when you meet someone, or someone notices you and they have their eye on you. The pages would work for the king and queen in the court, and they would begin around the age of 7 to 14, generally, when they were quite young, and they would come from the surrounding families that were upper class, that, and they would train in the court to become apprentices and to learn how to do tasks. And their main job was to deliver messages. So this is a card of communication. And if they were really successful at doing what they were doing and well suited for it, by the time they were 21, if they could afford a horse, sometimes they would even be considered for knighthood, and then they would become a knight, and they would travel, near and far throughout all the kingdoms, delivering messages. So this is about communication coming in, and it's about the cup. And generally, the cups do represent romantic love, but they can represent love of other things, and they can actually represent energy of love, of something you love to be or do. But in this energy, I feel like there's a lot of energy that's, saying it's more like romantic. So this page, he understands that there's plenty of fish in the sea, but he is really focused on this particular fish. So this is saying someone has their eye on you, or you have your eye on someone. And I just want to point out that all the characters in the tarot are archetypes. So they can represent, this could be a male or a female in their masculine energy. And this could be a male or a female in their feminine energy. So the Page of Cups, sometimes though, this card represents like, what happens if you take a fish out of water and it starts to smell. And so this can represent a card of there was something stinky in your love life. And I feel that that's the energy we're dealing with here with all these cards and being in this kind of dilemma. I feel like you're generally happy except for your love life. It's kind of that energy. And then we have judgment coming in over what's happened here. So here we're talking about the ancestors are literally coming out of their boxes going, yes, finally, judgment is coming from the spiritual realm. The angel is blowing her horn, and there's going to be, some justice served. Sometimes this can represent that it's something that happened to your ancestors, and before they passed, they were never ever able to get justice and clear it up for themselves. And so it's sitting there, and they're still wanting justice on the other side. they're literally coming out of their boxes, which means that this could also be the energy of opening Pandora's box and then not being able to close it, or the energy of skeletons coming out of the closet. So there could be some information coming in about your family that you didn't know. That kind of energy. And then we do have, yeah, this is definitely about heartache. So this is talking about, you know, when you look at this card, of course, it's very upsetting. There's 3 swords in this person's heart. Having said that, when you look again, you realize, wait, the heart is quite big in context to the swords. So these are more like pinpricks or nails. They're not like swords that, you know, cut right through the heart. So there is a potential of being able to heal from this. So this card can represent, again, that third-party energy where there's a sword between a couple and it's a wedge between them. This card can also represent the energy of not feeling like you can speak your truth, or someone lying to you. This can represent gossip and slander, like people might be talking about what's happening in your relationship. That it's, you know, that type of energy. And, you know, your heart in your throat where you just, you know, and it, because the swords represent your thoughts, and, you know, your thoughts are expressed through words, this can represent harsh words being said, and also a potentially heartbreaking decision needs to be made regarding the situation you're in. And so, yes, I feel like you're making a decision about what to do here. We're going to take a look here. So we have, this is how you see yourself. You do see yourself as being a leader, someone who understands how to have victory. You're passionate about life, you know, in general, but you're very disappointed in love. And this is about your abundance and self-worth, and it's almost affecting you in a way that you feel like, maybe I'm just not lovable. Like maybe there's something wrong with me. Like I'm not having success here. And then this energy here talks about your communication in early life. So this can represent an energy, maybe it's kind of like a generational curse coming down the family, that everybody gets divorced, or, you know, that kind of energy. Your parents were divorced and your grandparents were divorced. And it just keeps, it's a repeating pattern that's happening. And so this energy is talking about, you know, your communication from early life. You might have felt like that you weren't understood, and that you know, sometimes, you know, life gets busy, and you could maybe have been a child that felt kind of like you didn't fit in to the family, and like you were kind of always being left out. Or maybe you were someone that had a lot of nightmares when you were a child, and you had a lot of fears. Some children come in with a lot of fear. And then we have, this is your emotional foundation. So this can be like the attention could have been really focused on you. And sometimes that could be in a good way, and sometimes it could be in a bad way. Like where it affected your self-confidence on some level. That's the energy I'm getting. Or having helicopter parents that oversee everything you do, you know, and kind of not giving you a chance to make mistakes. So then when you get older, you go out there and then you have to function and learn how to make mistakes. Basically, if you're not making any mistakes, it means that you're not pushing your limits. And so to rise to your infinite potential, you essentially are going to make mistakes. And then this is talking about creativity, romance, and children. So this is a judgment maybe coming in. Well, it's definitely about your romantic life, I feel. And also it could be about maybe you want to have children and they don't, and then they went and got someone else pregnant, or that kind of energy. Or maybe you're having difficulty becoming pregnant. It could be that kind of energy. There's a lot of different scenarios this could be, because this represents your health, your daily routines, and your habits. So there's some, you know, like this is, whatever this is, it's affecting your day-to-day life. And it could mean you're separated as well, like in that because something happened in like this, that now you had to come to a decision that I'm leaving this person, or they left you for someone else, that kind of energy. So we're going to look into it a little bit more here, Libra. Libra is, the energy of Libra is all about justice and having like the scales of justice, having a balanced, even life. And the Libra energy is also when people are mature enough to make a commitment to marriage. And so you may have made the commitment to marriage with someone when you were, you both were maybe too young, and it's just not, you weren't ready. And now there's a bunch of, basically like energy here, like water under the bridge here, that isn't really, that you're having difficulty forgiving, or they are. And this energy can be talking about forgiving, and also about healing your heart. And we're going to look at the external forces. And so the external forces, the underlying energy here, is the Three of Wands. And so this card represents, for me, this represents someone who's standing on the precipice of change, basically. This person is thinking, I need to make a change. And I don't want to live my life like this anymore. And talking about... quite often, like he's standing here, it looks like sand, but it's actually water. There's ships sailing by. This is someone who wants to expand their horizons, and I want a new adventure. I want to expand my horizons. And this can talk about leaving a couple and deciding I'm going to be single. This is my card for that. So it could be that that's a decision you're making, because this is in the energy here, is in the external forces. And this here is your... your external forces are things that you don't have control of. Like you can't control what other people say or do, but you can control your reaction to it or your response to it. And so this energy is saying like instead of saying what if this happens, you're saying what the EF happened. And what happened is an external force that you had no control over. And yes, it's left you feeling like a wounded warrior. It's like, I'm doing everything I can to make this work, but somehow it's just become a big headache. And you see that there's 8 wands here being landed. And these 8 wands represent energies and actions that you and other people have taken, or that you've taken on. And and you're leaning on the 9th one here, and you see how exhausted you are. Love shouldn't be this much of a struggle. It shouldn't take this much of a struggle to be in a relationship and feel like in a happy, good energy. And like, because this is how you see yourself, that. Like, it's like, that this shouldn't be like this. And but it's an external force that you don't have control over. You can't make your your partner be a certain way. They have to want to. And this is talking, being like trying to gain balance in your house, in your life, after being put out of balance, basically. And so the hangman hangs from the tree of knowledge upside down, so that he can gain a totally different perspective of the situation, so that he can get enlightenment. And when his aura turns really bright, that represents, now I know the action that I'm going to take. And this actually is in your position of transition. So this is talking about you're ready to make a change here. And I feel like that you might be walking away, or maybe they already have. And this is, feeling left out in the cold. So this might be an inner, you could feel this way whether you're the one who walked away or they are. Being left out in the cold is talking about just feeling like you're not part of society anymore. You're not part of, like, you don't have a partner anymore. Being in this energy of, and perhaps both you and your partner feel that way. This card though can, like, and we have the 5 pentacles here, and the pentacles represent your health, wealth, and happiness in the 3rd dimension. And this represents, of course, a big part of it, it's lifestyle. And of course, pentacles, money matters in your lifestyle. But this is saying that I feel like what this card is saying is that you feel like maybe all your friends are still married, and you guys are separated now. And it feels very isolating, and you don't feel like you belong anywhere, and you don't fit in. Plus you have half the assets that you used to. And so maybe you've had to take on another, more work or whatever. And so this can feel like really like it's cold. It's cold in here. There must be something in the atmosphere. Like, it's just really feeling like left out in the cold and being all alone. Sometimes some people will stay in a relationship for a very long time just because they're so afraid of being alone. But that's like really not much fun. I found when I'm divorced, and I found that when things were like to a point where I sometimes felt more lonely being in a couple and not feeling like I was being noticed, and they're right in the house there with you, but you're not engaging, right? And so that can be an even more lonely feeling than just being alone, because at least when you're alone, you can do what you do, you know. And then, okay, so this is saying there was some temptation that happened here. And so I'm getting this is a third party energy for a lot of you. And, we have the devil here, and the devil represents temptation. And you see this couple here, and they are yoked to each other and chained to Saturn's box. And Saturn's box, this energy is really intense. And we just had Saturn move into the sign of Aries along with Neptune. And both of those are really deep energies. And because they're both so deep, like Neptune was in the sign of Pisces for 14 years and moved in about 3 weeks ago into the sign of Aries. It's a totally different energy. Like Pisces is the senior executive of the horoscope, and Aries is the newborn baby. And it's almost like you have to learn all over again. How are you going to handle love? And then we also, like, how are you going to handle people? How are you going to handle your relationships? How are you going to do business? Neptune is about idealism, and it's a very large planet. So for 14 years, it was in Pisces, and it moved into Aries. And Aries is way more aggressive. You think about everything a newborn baby learns just in the first year alone. So this energy is talking about approaching life in a totally different way. And then when Saturn also joined that energy, Saturn is about your responsibilities. Like, it's income tax season. You got to get the bookwork done. You got to get this done. You got to get that done. You have to be responsible. And it's like deep energy, like about deep matters that really, the dark parts of people, basically. And so when the devil comes in, it represents temptation of some sort. And the devil can't do their own dirty work, because the devil's is, for one thing, if you look, the devil spelt backwards is lived, as in used to. And so the devil is not a person, so the devil has to get a minion to come in and do the dirty work for him. So I always pick the next card up, and I cover it, because I want to see, who does the devil use as their minion, or what's it about, or does God step in and cancel it? And look at this. God is stepping over this energy for you. This is God's energy. This is, wow, that's just beautiful. So this is the happiest card in the deck. And this is you as a child, destined as a child of God, destined when you came in to have a happy life. That's what God has always intended for you. The sunflowers turn with the sun, and it represents following the sun and being on your destined path and being happy. And you can see this child is happy and carefree, riding this pony. This is how you want to be in this fire horse energy. And it's almost like you're here again now. These energies are very similar. Like, look how relaxed that rider is, and how the horse is like really calm, because they can tell their rider knows what they're doing. And that's, kind of similar. And this banner represents your destiny and the path that you're on. So the sunflowers turn with the sun and follow the sun. And, so this is talking about you getting back on your destined path after being in a situation where your partner was tempted by temptation and stepped out on you. And this energy, God is saying, you deserve better than that. You deserve all the love in the world. And hang in there, because once this heals, you will have love again. And we have a breath of fresh air coming in. So this is the Page of Swords, very similar to the page here. But the Page of Swords can represent, he represents more your thoughts rather than the love aspect of it. So this is talking about disciplining your mind, remembering that this is a double-edged sword. So you want to be, this Page of Swords is like a breath of fresh air energy. It's like, new thought. Like once you make the decision, then there's a relief because, okay, now you're not wondering what you're going to do. Now you know what you're going to do and you can start putting plans into place. And so this is talking about the page. This is the only page that is not totally focused on his element. So he is looking away from it because he knows what the thought is. He knows what he needs. Like, okay, I know what the question is. Now I need to look outside of myself and think outside the box. How is the best way that I'm going to do this? You know, like, am I going to move? Am I going to go to another community? Am I going to stick around here? Am I going to stay in the same neighborhood when they're down the road kind of energy? So it's all of those decisions that you're making. And this being a breath of fresh air, and this is in your, I feel like you're really thinking about changing location so you're not in the same location as this person. And it may mean for you that you're actually leaving, you know, a lot of people and family and that. But I feel like maybe this card sometimes represents about a lot of gossip and slander, and maybe you feel kind of like hurt by a lot of people because they were talking about it and nobody told you. And you're like, so that's like the part of divorce. And one thing about divorce is that you will learn who your friends really are and who they aren't. You learn really quick. And you might be surprised at who those people are and who they aren't. And so the universe is saying, and you don't need to worry about the money that you're going to, this is a reward of Pentacles for staying on your path. So the Pentacles represent a good lifestyle. And because you've stayed on the path, there's something really like an ace coming in for you. So you've got an ace up your sleeve here for having some sort of, like, maybe you're going to land a position in another city and they'll pay for you to move, and that kind of energy. Then you can meet new friends and be around new people with new ideas. And there's no better time right now than to be in the new energy. And actually also the energy of Venus. Venus moved into Aries on March the 6th. So that energy is being like, it was from the Pisces energy to the Aries energy. And so it's saying that you're way more assertive in matters of love now. So it's easier to make a decision now than for sure than in the last 14 years when Pisces was in Neptune. And with Venus supporting that decision in the sign of Aries, the astrological energy is really supportive of, you know, making these commitments to personal goals and moving forward with them. I do feel that, you know, you're doing a really good job of healing. And I do feel like this is the energy, I mean, this is past, present, and future. So, you know, this energy could be, you know, different scenarios and, you know, different levels and different, you know, is it the past, the present, or the future? So just, you know, use your intuition. And, you know, I do hope that this has given you some comfort moving forward, recognizing you're not alone, you know, that with this energy. So if you've satisfied, okay, I feel I have enough energy, and you're leaving the reading, please do give it a like and comment if you did get value. It really helps me build my channel. I really appreciate it. And you're more than welcome to subscribe. I would be honored if you did so, and would really open you with welcome arms. For those of you who want further clarification, I'm going to use my Oracle Tales from the Vector, and that's TAILS. This is something that I started working on back in 2007, and I completed the 64th painting in 2020. It's from the Intergalactic Federation of Light, and there's these dragons from the future, and they're flying in, and they're from different parts of the world, and they're really, you know, 3 foot by 4 foot paintings. Like about 30 of them are big paintings. So it took me a lot of time to complete, but I really enjoyed it because I'm an artist, and it gave me you know, something to really work on. Like I always knew, okay, the next painting I'd get, my imagination would get going, and I would see, okay, that dragon's going to be from Italy, you know, and then it would come through. And so I'm working on bringing it out. I'm taking my time because I want to make sure that I have the information that goes with the Oracle correct. And so these cards have numbers on them, and the numbers represent the order that the paintings are in on my website. And my website is talesfromthevector.com. I have all the information, and I'll put it in the description box below, and the order of the paintings as they appear here. So if you want to take a look, you might find it interesting. They say a picture paints 1,000 words, and so maybe this will give you a little bit more clarity. So we're going to begin here. Okay, so we have the energy here. This is of the overall reading, and this is saying you're a star. So this is talking about being in this energy here, that like you were meant to be a happy person, and you were meant to have a really good life, and you have unique qualities that you bring onto this planet that no one else has in the entire universe. And people will say, well, how is that possible? Because we're all in different degrees, right? There's only one you. And so this is talking about bringing that energy of your uniqueness and mixing it in the universal soup, and then adding it to the planet. Every single one of us we're not just like an insignificant dot. We actually do have a part in God's plan. And so your energy is desirable, and you deserve to have, all the love and the happiness and everything that you need to be able to move into your destined path. And then we have the energy of denial. So this is what I don't know won't hurt me. And I feel like this is kind of the energy of this closed mind. I really don't want to see what's going on. And this is because love is blind. And a lot of times this will drive us crazy later, because we're like, how could I not see it? And how could, why did I stay in denial? Like, and it's almost an embarrassed feeling. Like everybody's talking about it. Everybody knew but me. But really, the embarrassment doesn't belong to you. And yeah, what you don't know could hurt you. But the other thing is that if you're not ready for the information to come in, God sometimes has, like, they say, God, there's a saying that God will never give us more than we can take. So maybe you just weren't ready to hear it, and it would have been more damaging for you to hear it. You wouldn't have been able to move forward with the energy anyway, because you would have found it too hard to accept. So we have surrender. So yeah, sometimes this is representing surrendering to God's plan, and just being, going like, being in this energy of, going inward and meditating and getting the insights coming in, sometimes, in your dreams, and using your intuition and being in that energy. And this is disruption. So yeah, what's fun for some isn't fun for everyone, that's for sure, especially if your partner's been dallying, that kind of energy. It definitely, she is having more fun than you, and so is the other person. So this energy is about disrupting your life and disrupting your abundance, and making you feel like you're less than, basically. We have lack of awareness here. And never underestimate the power of willful ignorance. So this is talking about this, not wanting to see it energy, and lack of awareness. The major danger there is, there could be other dangers, but like it's when you're a lot of missed opportunities, like staying in a situation way too long that is not benefiting you. And then this is about the trauma. So I just am getting... if you ever, like, what I feel, one thing that you maybe have learned is that the last thing you want is drama in your love life. And a lot of people mistake drama for passion. And so, but really, the last place you really want a bunch of drama is with your partner. There's nothing better than having someone that you can totally rely on. And, that energy is like a superpower. Like when you have a partner like that you're not worrying, I wonder what they're doing now, and I wonder if they're cheating on me, and I wonder if they're going to show up like they said they were going to. And then this is a judgment being called. This person, your partner, was under the mistaken perception. And I have this little cat just hopped up here. And she's, her job is she woke up and she's upset because she loves when I do readings. And she just came into the room. How dare you start without me? And I'm almost done. But she's got happy feet now. And so she's circling and she's got a purr happening. You may not be able to hear it because I have a noise canceling mic, but a cat's purr has a very high healing vibration. So she's at her right now. So she's adding to that energy. So thank you, Stella. And then we have, the energy here is that the grass is greener on the other side, but then you find out it's fake. And so it's kind of this energy of the this and that energy. It's talking about here, what happens a lot of times people think, oh, well, the bloom wears off in a new relationship and then you're right back where you were in the other relationship because you haven't worked on yourself. So you're much better off healing your heart before you get into another relationship. So that you don't end up doing the same old thing. That's why the statistics are so high for people who have been married in the past and they get remarried to someone else. Quite often, those marriages are less likely to succeed than the first one. Just because a lot of times people just don't want to be alone. They want to have a partner, and then they don't do the work that they need to do to improve their next, if you learn from the past, it can be very beneficial. So this is talking about a scotoma. And so this is, there's good reason why the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror. So, you could stay in the past and be in this regret for the rest of your life and never come out of it. You could sit under this tree and I'm never ever loving again. But who is that really going to hurt? It's going to hurt you more than anyone. We have the energy of Aquarius coming in here. And so this is kind of a shift in energy. And I think we basically have moved into the age of Aquarius from the age of Pisces. It's a 2,160 year age. So, we've moved into it and we can tell a little bit from the artificial intelligence. There's it's really different on the planet right now on top of everything else. It's like nothing really is the way that it used to. And a lot of that has that energy. Plus we had 2 eclipses. So the eclipses can have really profound effects on us over a 6-month period, basically. And it's subtle energy. And then all of a sudden you look back and you go, wow, did I ever make a lot of significant changes in my life in the last 6 months? And you don't notice it so much as you're going along, but when you look back, you have a different life. And so if you want to know more about how the eclipse energies may be affecting you, you can go to the new moon, full moon playlist that I have. And I did a reading for each of the signs for both of the eclipses and how they're going to affect people over the next, 6 months, basically. And then for each sign. And if you want to know more about the fire horse energy, I do have on another playlist. It's with the New Year and the Chinese New Year and Valentine's Day readings. So just check those out if you want to know more about that, how that energy is affecting you. And then destruction. So this is progress in motion. Doesn't feel like it, but it is. You're still standing, and you feel like things have been destroyed, but you're still standing, and you're getting up and you're going to work and you're doing what you need to do. So this is you're doing the best you can, and this is the need to be right. So sometimes we can get there's different stages of grief, of course, when you are in a relationship and it ends like this, or if you're thinking about ending it. And it's, sometimes we want to be right. They were wrong, I was right, why, and, sometimes you have to just let go of the need to be right and quit making mountains out of molehills and just say, okay, it's in the past. I'm gonna have learned from that. And I would rather be happy than be insisting on being right. And then we have manifesting energy from your sacral chakra. And this is about being when you're in this energy of, it's not a great time to start a new relationship because you need to make sure you heal so you don't repeat the same errors that you had in the first one. And you want to make sure that it's not like a bounce back relationship, because those can be really hard to get over as well. So this is a great time to focus on your career. and focus on regaining the pentacles that, you know, that you lost here and moving forward in a strong way. And we do have the energy. Look at this, the devil on the devil. Look at that. I've never seen that happen before. So this is talking about, you know, it's really interesting. It might be, you know, this energy of the grass is greener on the other side, but then the person finds out it's fake. You might be tempted to take this person back after leaving them if you're in that energy. So let's see if that was to happen. What's the card that comes up? Anger. So having the anger is the gift that keeps on giving. And so sometimes when we fall back on that energy and we take someone back, and this, the reason I'm bringing this up here and now is because Mercury is in retrograde for one more day while we're in this energy. And so if you've been back and forth with someone from your past and you've been thinking about this, give it a little bit more time before you make a decision, because Mercury is moving back direct. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it's the planet of communication. And so it's a really hard time to get clear communication. So on the 23rd, just by happenstance, your North Node energy, which is when you're following your designated design path, is going to be joining Mercury and in Aries, like a whole new energy again. And so that's only like 4 days from now. And I really feel that a lot of people might get some real clarity about past energies and whether you want to move forward with the new instead of the old kind of energy. And so give it, like, it's only 4 days away, and really understand that right now the astrological influences are really strong for supporting you moving in a new way, but also being able to make those like the energy is really supportive of new energy coming in and being able to deal with that and really enjoy it. And then this is the energy of dissemination. So there was an elephant in the room, and you're saying like, oh, elephant, what elephant? You know, it's when you start saying, oh, maybe I'll take them back. No one else is going to love me. You know, I can't see anyone else wanting me. I can't see myself really wanting someone else, that kind of energy. And this is the elephant is in the room when you start believing your own press. And so quite often when we're healing from you know, an important relationship that is has fallen to the wayside, we have a tendency to sometimes be really hard on ourselves and to double back on the energy. So this is saying, you know, stay strong within yourself, because this deception was something that I feel like is an energy that you may find if you go back to the same person from the past, that you're always going to be wondering, are they doing it again? Are they doing it again? You know, that kind of energy, always looking for the signs. And so when you go back to something, it's never the way. Have you ever noticed that? Like if you book a holiday somewhere and you go to one of those fancy resorts and they have that energy, like, you know, when you first get there, you're like, oh, it's so beautiful and everything's new. And then after you've been there for about 2 weeks, it's kind of like, oh, I'm ready to go home. It's kind of like that energy. So, you know, just take it slow. Don't make impulsive decisions. I feel like you're really on a real healing journey. And for those of you that maybe it's not just about love, but it's also about your career or family members or partnerships or whatever, the energy is the same kind of energy. It's just in a different context. I do hope that you enjoyed the reading. Please like and comment if you have. It really does help me build my channel. I super appreciate it. Also, you're more than welcome to subscribe to my channel. I would be honored if you did so. And I will be back with another reading. That one will be for the beginning of April. So bye for now. Oh, silly kitty. Did you wake up? Yeah.